What's going on, YouTube world? Welcome to Little Bit Man Gaming, where I'm doing a fan review or just a review of the first two episodes, I should say, first two of WandaVision, because they dropped two episodes for today's premiere, which will be the 15th premiere, so on Disney Plus. But first and first, you can hit that like, subscribe, and share, and hit that notification button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leave a comment down below because it helps me grow as a YouTuber and it helps the channel grow overall. I was down for a little bit with the camera thing, but I got the camera back working and everything's all good. So I will be doing a wrestling review video, and I'm trying to think. Also Batwoman comes out this Sunday, so I'll be doing a review for that too as well. First things first, WandaVision. So to give you guys who doesn't know, WandaVision is a Disney Plus miniseries that's that ties in with the Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, all that, the MCU as a whole. And it's as the name implies, it stars Wanda and Vision. So here's a little premise before I give you my thoughts on the first two episodes. It says, after the events of Avengers Endgame and Wanda, after the events of Avengers Endgame, Wanda and Maximoff and Vision are living the ideal suburban life in the town of Westview, trying to conceal their powers. As they begin to enter new decades and encounter television tropes, the group suspects that things are not as they seem. And the reason why they say this is because if you're not seeing the trailers, the show is like it for the most part is in black and white, and it's like a mixture of I Love Lucy and Bewitched, if that makes sense. And that's, it plays like that, like a sitcom of Bewitched and a mixture of Bewitched and I Love Lucy. But if things are not as they seem, but that's for my review, as we about to get into it right now. So I was going to do two videos, like for episode 1 and 2, but they only 30 minutes. So I was able to just get basically all of them, and nothing significant happened to where I had to break it down into two videos for each episode. So I'm just going to do both episodes right now. First is first. There are, I want to say, Easter eggs in here. Yes, there are some Easter eggs in here. It might, and some allude to, I ain't going to tell you which episode because it's a spoiler-free review. So I'm not going to tell you which episode has which. But both episodes do have Easter eggs. And if you paid attention to the movies, you would know the Easter eggs when you see them. Or as you read the comments, there are some little comic book reference, but not all the way. Let's see. Where to begin? Well, the show begins, like I said, it opens up like it's an episode of Bewitched or I Love Lucy. And it pretty much is like a sitcom. You got all the little sitcom tropes, the little mishaps, the over exaggerations of words, and the innuendos, the silly innuendos of shows from that era, like the 40s, 50s, and some odd 60s, like the beginning of the 60s, because that's like when black and white was there. And like, yeah, and like the first and second episode are in black and white, though I won't tell you which episode, but there is some color. There will be some color. Yeah, so it's basically Wanda and Vision, they going through the tropes. Like one episode, they can't remember what a day was. Like it's a certain day marked with a certain thing, and they can't remember what the day was. So they foolishly going around trying to all day trying to remember what the day was for. Was it an anniversary? Was it their marriage? What what it was. And they're married. In the show, so it's like they're trying to figure out what this day is, and then they finally do. It is what they think it is not what it actually is. So it's like they end up figuring out, and this is just the first episode. They just figure it out, and oddly enough, I would have said like the title of the episode, but each episode is actually literally just called episode 1 and episode 2. But episode 1, there they trying to figure out what this day was, what this mark on the calendar mean for this particular day, and they can't for the life of them figure out why. And there is nudge in there if you pay attention enough. The reason why it like when they try to fool around, try to figure out comedy show like what's that day is about, is some hint into what's going on. Because certain things it don't seem right. Things don't add up. I say they don't add up for a married couple. You're married. Why do you not know what this day is? Why can't you remember if it was this or if it was that? Certain things adds up. Then they get into a little thing with Viz's boss. Viz works at like some type of accounting firm, but he can't, for the life of him, he can't figure out what they actually do. And this is like a running trope throughout the first episode. Throughout the first episode is like everything they do, they trying to figure out why they can't remember what it's for. Like Viz trying to figure out what the day was, and then when he get to work, he try to figure out. Well, he actually says we come to work every day, yet I have for the life of me can't figure out what we actually do here. And then he get these responses, and he's just like, yeah, but that's not telling me what we actually do here. What do we actually do? And even the people, like, kind of weirdly just don't know what the hell they do there. And then, like I said, then they go throughout, and then Vision, he actually does finally figure out what the day was that he had marked on the calendar, and that leads into a big old question, or a big old not I want to say question. It leads to more questions, because what happened is that he has a little dinner with his boss, and certain things happen to make you question the reality of the situation, and make you question reality. And it makes them, and they literally at the moment question reality, because certain things, like I was saying before, like why can't you remember this and remember that, starts coming into play, and it starts messing with them because they really couldn't. It starts making them think. And then you got the lady, the wife. She starts acting weird, when a certain thing happens to the boss. And it's more like a cry out for help than what she was actually asking for help for. But like I said, you will see if you watch the show, you will see, and it triggers Vision and Wanda when she's asking for help, and you'll understand. Like I said, you'll understand why it triggers them when you see the way how she asks for help, and it triggers them to start really thinking. They like go into like almost like a catatonic stare state, like they don't know what to do because they can't honestly remember why they're there or whatever. And then everything goes back to normal, and they start acting like they're in a sitcom again. And then it ends like a traditional sitcom, but then things aren't the same because then it comes out of focus and shows that they're in like a TV, and certain things look like certain things are happening and it's being done on purpose, which leads into episode 2, which is literally named just episode 2. And episode 2 is unlike 1, where they just trying to remember what's going on and trying to remember what the day was, what that special day was. This episode is mostly just them trying to they want to fit in. They want to seem normal. They don't want nobody to know that, Wanda has powers, or Vision is really a robot and not an actual man. And in both episodes too, it's like there's the usual sitcom funny trope when somebody's really not who they is, but somebody makes a comment about accidentally saying what they really was, and like, oh no, I'm not. I'm just a regular old person. They do that a lot in both episode 1 and 2. But it's mainly for Vision. Vision does it more than Wanda, but Wanda does it too. Like, I'm just an average, suburban woman, and Vision just be like, well, I'm just an average, man just working a average job. But then you can tell he's not average. Then he started busting out physics and quantum equations and stuff to make it seem like he was talking about what he was talking about. But you obviously know he's not a normal person, because he says these equations and stuff in reference to what they was talking about. But it's like, you're not normal if you know that. Like super genius level stuff. And they even they was like, yeah, you're like a computer. And that's like in episode 1, I think, when they said, yeah, you're like a computer. And he's like, no, I'm not. But episode 2 is about them trying to fit into the neighborhood. Whereas this has something to do with this particular day. Well, episode 1 has something to do with a particular day. This is them trying to fit in. So down, they trying to enter, I guess, the town's talent show, and they want to fit in. So they think if they could impress the town people with magic, with that and talent show, it'll make them fit in more and be more accepted. So they decided to put on a magician, a magician and his assistant act. And once again, it has its usual tropes and sitcom funniness from back in the day, like I said, like a Mr. or Bewitched or I Love Lucy. This episode is more like, it's still like a Mr. or Bewitched and I Love Lucy, but it got a lot more Bewitched in it, because Wanda in this episode, she used her magic powers a lot, but it's like similar to Bewitched. It don't look like how she was doing all this stuff in Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. She'll be using her powers like this and stuff. It's more like she made those little Bewitched sounds when she do with her hand. It'd be like and something would happen, and make it seem like she actually got the Bewitched lady like powers. And yeah, so it's about them putting on this talent show. But in this episode, things get a little more intense, where they're starting to ramp it up. They're starting to show you that things really aren't what they seem. Because this time, a particular thing may be in color, may not be in color. Like I said, I don't know. It could have been in the first episode, it could have been in the second episode. I don't know, can't remember. Or, can I? I just won't tell you. But something happens that triggers Wanda and is abnormal. And when it happens, she's starting to do what she did in the first episode. She's starting to space out and trying to figure out, is this even all real, and if something is going on. And then once again, she snaps out of it and goes back to being a sitcom wife. And she's trying to get the stuff ready. Vision end up going to clubs only like gathering, but they accept him in there. And I think he ate something, and I guess in the show he can't eat or drink because it will mess with his system. And if he do, I guess it will get him. It'll just like, it will look like he'll malfunction almost. And they even go into like the cartoon opening style of Bewitched to show his insides. Like, how when Bewitched came on, it was like a cartoon intro. They do that for Vision, and even in the second episode. The second episode even opens up like that. It's like a cartoon opening, had like a cartoon Vision and Wanda. I meant to tell you that too. That this one actually has a legit I Love Lucy or Bewitched like intro. And then, like I said, they try to go on through their day, try to show on their struggles and stuff with trying to be normal. And then Vision accidentally eats something at this club members only club with some of the people from the work, and it gets like lost into one of his gears. It's like again, it's gonna show like a cartoon thing, and that is lost into his gear, and his malfunction is like a funny. It's like instead of him like malfunctioning, like that, he's actually drunk. It gives him the appearance that he might be drunk. So they end up getting to the talent show, but before then, they Wanda try to get everything ready, and she has an encounter with a lady who don't like her particularly for a reason that you will see in the episode, and it's mostly because she says Wanda is like out of place. She don't know who she is or what she about, but she heard about her, in that type of fashion. And she asks Wanda a particular like word in particular. She asks her a particular question, and it triggers Wanda again. And Wanda she started phasing out, like she's starting to realize that this might not be what everything is. It might not be the reality that she think it is. So, and this time it's just not. This time, just like in the first episode, it's not just Wanda. This in the first episode was Wanda. It was like Wanda, Vision, and the wife or somebody and her husband. Though the husband was having a typical something happen to him, but the wife started freaking out along with Wanda and Vision. And you understand what I mean by freaking out. Their freak out is not like, oh God, what. Their freak out is like one person's asking for help while the other two is just trying to understand that this might not be reality. Whereas in this one, this time it happens again. Not with Vision. I don't think it happens with Vision. I could be mistaken. I might not remember correctly. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen with Vision. But it happens with Wanda and this lady who don't like Wanda. And both of them start freaking out because this time something is not just something that happens not just the words that this lady says that triggers Wanda. Somebody is calling to Wanda, and you heard it in the trailers. If you see the trailers for it, somebody calls out Wanda, asking her what's what, who is what. I don't want to tell you what they actually said, but it was things asked to her, like somebody was breaking through to wherever it was, and they was asking her questions about what's going on, and Wanda realized it's not somebody. It's not somebody on the radio because they using her name. It's not somebody like a radio station. It's actually somebody breaking through. Like they talking through the radio station, trying to get to her, trying to get to the real Wanda. And both Wanda and the lady breaks for just a momentary moment. They break away and start realizing stuff. Like the lady start freaking out. She don't even know who Wanda is no more because this is not the television lady. It's like the real Wanda. It's like the real lady this time. It's like the television lady because it shows you things like maybe Wanda and Vision is not the only people trapped in whatever this is. And so then there's, I forgot to tell you, there was at the beginning of this episode, you also seen in the trailers, but it's like a thumping noise that was going in the that was hitting the window, and when it's funny, it's like a little funny when they found out what it really was because they was acting all scared, like they was too scared to go investigate. So they go. I just want to let you know that because it leads into what the end of the episode was. But basically, then at the end, they get through the talent show. Mishaps and all. Vision's drunk. Then he trying to pull out the tricks, but Vision, he's so drunk and drunk light, he can't really get like the stuff off correctly. So Wanda got to go to make things because he's using his powers for real, and it's like almost freaking the people out because when he uses real powers, the people like they start breaking like free and stuff because they it's not what they would think they would see in that type of setting. Like instead of seeing fake stuff, they seeing stuff for real. So it's breaking them from whatever reality until Wanda goes doo 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 doo, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I see how you did that now." And then they get back to being sitcom TV people. But every time Vision does his real power, they realize, "Oh God, what's going on?" And then oh, it goes back and forth. Something end up happening. A winner is chose, and then it goes into the end of the episode. They realize they had that being themselves was enough, and then they hear that familiar thump again from the beginning of the episode, like I mentioned earlier, that scares them. And this time they go investigate, but they don't see this time. They don't see what was making the thump, as they found out what it was in the beginning, and then a certain thing happened, and then it's like certain things happen, and then things go back to where things don't happen to what they just saw, and it might allude to a particular person might know or have a lot more knowledge of what's going on than they may seem. And I won't tell you who it was, but I say it's one of the main people. Once this event happened at the end, it's like maybe this person is actually controlling everything because they made something happen. Once this thing happened, they didn't want it to happen. They was like, no. So everything changed, and then that thing didn't happen again. So then it was like that event didn't play out. But overall, it was a slow start. So this is like, I'm going to tell you what I give it. Out of 10 big ups, I would give it a 6. Out of 10 big ups, I give it 6. 6 big ups, because both episodes were slow starts, but they had its moments where they let you know, hey, something's amiss. And it's like, I wish the episodes could have been longer, because I didn't know until like I think yesterday or today. It was either yesterday or today that there were only going to be 30 minutes long. Like both episodes, that's why they premiered 2 episodes, because they both only 30 minutes long. But that was a thing. That's not the reason why I gave it 6. The reason why I gave it 6 is because both had slow starts. And like what I mean by slow starts, they in a sitcom. I get they felt to be acting like they in a sitcom, but there's not enough what's really going on, here. Why is Vision back? Because this takes place after Avengers Endgame and stuff. How did Vision come back to life? But I guess those are questions that's going to be answered later. But certain things happen. Somebody might be involved in it, and if it's true who's involved in it, this might be people have been saying it's a rumor. This might be of House of M, and if y'all don't know what that is, the House of M was an X-Men comic book, in which, roughly in short, because I'm gonna keep it short. I could get into it all day, but I don't want to keep it that was long. So basically, the House of M is a storyline in which, for some reason, the world forgot about mutants and X-Men. They don't even know the world. To the other Avengers and everybody else in the world, mutants don't even exist until Wanda, who is oddly the main focus of this story, goes crazy and her powers go haywire and undo whatever happens to make everybody forget. And all of a sudden, people now remember that mutants exist and that the X-Men and all of them exist. And it's been rumored that WandaVision could be like, they say it could. It's already going to tie. It actually will tie in to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, his movie, and it's rumored that this is how the X-Men would get introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But yeah, if that's true, that's the part I'm waiting on. If they're gonna use this to introduce the X-Men, I would love to see how they're gonna introduce the X-Men, because they said that the X-Men will get in some of these upcoming either TV shows or movies. they will be introducing like the X-Men, how they introduced Spider-Man and Captain America Civil War. A movie will introduce the X-Men, or X-Men will be like